I feel like this is like a first for politics.
I think it's a first.
This man, Mike Itzgiz, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I believe that's his name, though. Sorry for the incorrect pronunciation because I know I butchered it. But Mike Itzgiz is running for a congressional seat in New York's one of New York's districts, and he one of his main platform stances is that he believes in legalizing sex work, and so in order to say, hey. This is not fucking bullshit. I'm walking the walk, not just talking the talk. This man went and decided to put out his own sex tape that I believe he filmed with a consenting sex worker. And I went to go look up the information to do some research on it. And I was seeing if people were looking up like the actual video.
Because
it was trending like Mike Itzki's
people are sick, bro.
Sex tape video.
People are sick.
He's not an attractive man either, so I'm a little worried. Bro.
People are sick. You give internet was like the floodgates for creeps. Like I wonder what they were doing pre-internet. How were they getting their fix for shit?
Well, to bring it back to the last conversation that we had, like I think that there's always look, everybody has. Actually, I can't say that because that's
I guess it's just the curiosity. Like, oh, he released a sex tape. I guess I gotta check it out then to stay informed, right?
Oh, that's what you're saying?
Justifying it in their heads and shit.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, and I know I'm not the only one. So stop capping. I know that I'm not the only one who thought I wonder what it looks like, bro. When you hear of a sex tape, bro, stop. When you hear sex tape, you thinking, I wonder what it looks like. That doesn't mean you're gonna go look for it. I didn't look it up. I didn't go search for it.
Listen, if it depends on who it is, though. If it's just some weird politician, I think that's creepy. I think that's weird.
Stop.
And this scenario, Barack Obama weird. Sex tape. But if it was like some fine celebrity, of course I'm gonna go look it up. So I guess maybe I'm being picky. Maybe I'm being a little too truncated on what is acceptable. When it's acceptable to look up a sex tape that's been released.
You have a little curiosity. That's all I'm saying. This whole situation, though, is very unprecedented, though. I don't think that there's ever been a politician who has purposefully leaked their own sex tape. Has that ever happened?
I don't think so. I've never heard of this. The dude's clearly he's trying to get his name known.
It's a great stunt.
It's a great strategy because we live in an era where it's not like an absolute devastation if that happens. I guess depending on how it's released in the scenario, but. And what
people will say, yeah, go ahead.
And what are your thoughts? We're going to transition to that, but what are your thoughts on like sex work being like kind of like how it was in Amsterdam, where it's like you have health care and it's like you work for a company and it's like it's legalized. Like, could you ever see that happening in America? And do you think that will cut down on the number of incel creep dudes? Because like, hey, I can go around the corner, $50, get me some, and I don't have to be a weirdo incel dude on 4chan crying about. Whatever, I don't know.
A couple things in there. Number one, I believe in everybody should have the right to do whatever they want as long as it's not harming anybody. So when it comes to legalizing sex work and allowing other people to have benefits and methods of income, because it's becoming harder and harder to make money. And some people will say it's becoming easier to make money, but you know, everybody has different privileges and everybody has different situations. So any way you can make money, go for it. I'm all for it. The second question that you asked, to answer that, in terms of the incelish dudes and that whole thing, is it going to be able to mitigate that? I would hope so, right? Obviously, I would hope so. Because as we were saying, as it pertains to the last conversation, there are a plethora of ways outside of sex work in order for you to fulfill your needs. But hey, if that's legal, that's another way. So let's add on top of that. Sure, that's great. But the problem with that, I think, is that when it comes to these incelish dudes, the problem is not that they're not having sex. That's not the problem. The problem is that they're violent. That's the problem. So I don't know if that necessarily would be in a way. It's almost like it becomes easier for them to start committing some of these atrocities that we see.
How would it be easier if it's legalized? Right? It's in a public sense. It's work for a company. They have their own security. I'm just brainstorming it. They have a panic button. Like, as soon as the dude starts acting violent, hit the panic button. They're on his ass. You see what I'm saying? Like this is like still, fully corporatized now. This whole sex work thing. I still
feel like you're kind of making it like, because crazy people are going to do crazy things regardless. If they want to commit an atrocity, they're going to do it. and I hate to make it dark, but it's kind of just saying like I feel like in a way it's kind of putting a target on it. I don't know if this is going to be like a freelance thing, but if you're talking about making it like the red light district, I'm going to assume it's like institutionalized.
It's like institutionalized where it's like there's like you go to the
area.
little brothel. You go to the little, and it's like a public company, like it's like a company. Like you walk in and it's like you walk up the counter, I want this girl and blah blah blah, and there's security everywhere.
Yeah, that to
Security
me
everywhere.
sounds like
You
when
start
I think
some
about
shit, they beat your ass type thing.
when I hear that, and it sounds to me like when I think about these incelish dudes, extremely violent guys, that sounds to me like, hey, Dylan Ruth, this is the church that you can go shoot up, or hey, I'm not sure who the dude that blew the name of the guy who blew up the Oklahoma City bombing, that government building, but it's like, hey, this is the government building for this area. That's what it seems like to me.
So you're saying it's less of like a moral issue or less of a religious issue. You're saying it's more of an American culture, because a lot of people will argue any which way why it shouldn't be allowed. You're saying it's an American culture issue where, because of where we are in American society, it's not feasible because it's just going to be another Planned Parenthood to shoot up, or another school to shoot up, or another whatever thing some extremist group doesn't agree with in America. You're just making a target for them.
I'm not saying that it shouldn't be done for those reasons. I'm saying that in terms of answering that question that you asked me, in terms of for the incelish dudes, are they going to be able to have an outlet? And it's not just going to be for them, but in speaking just primarily about them, so that they have some way to get their chops off. For them, I just hope that there's a level of protection for that. I don't think that just because you make sex work legalized or you decriminalize it, that means that all of a sudden these incel dudes just aren't going to exist because they can.
See what you're saying. I was thinking from the case that now there's no excuse. You complaining about how you can't get sex, but now you have an outlet for it. So what's the complaint now? But these guys are crazy to begin with, so it'll just be a new thing. Well, I want sex that I don't have to pay for. That doesn't count. They're gonna move the goalpost on it. So
they're gonna come up with the reason. Exactly.
Yeah, and like I just forgot about that one guy who was shooting up like Asian massage parlors. Who I guess I don't know if there's any evidence that it was actually prostitution going on, but he made it seem like it was from what he was saying. But let's just assume that's what went down. He's an incel type guy, and he still went and shot it up.
Exactly.
So I see your point on what you're making, where if he was
people will go and shoot it up just for the opposite reason, to say this is wrong.
Yeah,
and I don't.
That's an American culture thing.
Yeah,
you don't see people getting shot up in Amsterdam over this.
No, you don't.
It's a very American thing.
And even the fact that we're speaking about the major atrocity that would be committed is an act of gun violence, that's not even really a conversation that other countries would have to have, because they don't deal with the level of crisis that we deal with here. So even that in and of itself is a completely nuanced conversation that we probably are only having here.